everyone, today I'm gonna show you how to paint a watermelon. So that's what my plan is. So let's start. This is gonna be a very simple painting. I hope so. I'm gonna roughly sketch where I want my watermelon to be. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint the watermelon and then the cutout section of the watermelon next to it. So I'm gonna draw a circle. Not a perfect circle. And then here I'm gonna draw a slice of the watermelon. Something like that. I want this to be the top. Here it's gonna be the zebra on the watermelon. And for the paints, I'm gonna spray them with water. And soak in. For my brushes, I'm gonna use my squirrel brush. You just need a soft brush to add water, and then my synthetic round brushes, number 12, number 8 by Escoda. Before I start painting, I always like to add water because I want the paper to be soft and take the paint nicely. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding water on the actual watermelon and on its slice, like this. And then I'm also adding the shadow area. So I'm gonna let the water soak into the paper. So while the paper is drying, I'm gonna talk about what paints I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna use yellow green, which is actually sap green, and then I'm gonna use emerald green, as well as carmine for the red, and then the cadmium yellow that I'm gonna use with the green, with both greens and carmine. And then also, instead of black for the seeds, I'm gonna use indigo. Now also I want to talk about how do you know when you can start painting. The water should not be still on the paper, so if you look, it's like a light sheen on the paper right here. So this is a good timing to start painting. And you can see that the paper kind of swollen a little bit and it started to warp a little bit, but that's okay. So let's begin. I'm gonna start with the lightest color. I'm gonna take my cadmium and paint where I want the light yellow to peek through. Take your yellow and do a wash of it all over the whole watermelon. I'm also going to add a little bit of yellow on the slice. Now I'm going to take my emerald green and mix it with a little bit of cadmium yellow. I'm going to paint the green where I drew the lines with my pencil, and as you can see here, the paint moves around and mixes with the yellow, and that's exactly actually what I want. I want it to be pretty messy right now and have the effect of paints mixing together. I'm going to let the paint dry fully. You can use a hair dryer to speed up this process. This is actually what I'm gonna do. Now that the painting is fully dry, I'm going to take my sap green, fully concentrated sap green, and paint in the lines on the watermelon. I'm pretty much sketching where I want the lines to be, and then I'm not worrying too much about making it perfect because I'm actually gonna go over each line, as you will see later. So I'm taking my brush with the sap green, wiggling my brush a little bit to create this uneven line. And that's what I actually want. I want to create this textured lines, and I'm gonna go over each line by wiggling my brush from side to side, as you can see here. I'm also going to smooth out the lines on the edge of the watermelon because I don't want those lines to be seen on the edges. They should be smoother, so I'm just doing that. Now that we have the green lines painted, I'm going to soften them a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean my brush and take some water and add water in between each line, and that will allow the lines to get softer and it will start to bleed. I'm going to help this process by taking my brush and wiping in between the dark lines, as you can see here. So it softens the lines and it also gives a little texture to the watermelon. To give the watermelon even more texture, what you can do is take a little piece of paper towel and then fold it like I'm doing here, and then wipe away some of the paint. I'm using my paper towel as if I'm using a sponge, but it's just a fast way to add more texture to the watermelon. Also, I noticed that the cadmium yellow kind of disappeared from the painting, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to the watermelon, just injecting the paint in various places. And the paper is still wet, so it takes in the paint and soaks it in very well. While the paint is drying on the watermelon, I'm going to work on the slice. I'm going to take my sap green and my synthetic brush number 2 and draw the dark line around the slice like this. I don't want the line to be too harsh, so I'm going to soften it a little bit with my clean wet brush. Before I start painting the red part of the watermelon, I'm going to get some fresh water in my cup because my water is pretty green by now and I definitely don't want the green to mix with the red. So make sure your water is clean and doesn't have any paint in it. Also, wait until the green part of the watermelon slice is dry so the green doesn't accidentally bleed into the red. To do the initial wash on the slice, take some cadmium yellow and mix in a little bit of carmine red. Now I'm going to take my carmine red and start painting the color on top of the slice. I'm using my synthetic brush number 12 for that. So I'm going to let the paint mix with the orange, and then I'm going to continue adding the red to the slice. From what I have noticed about watermelons is that the top section usually is the sweetest and the darkest in color, so the reddest. As it gets closer to the green part of the watermelon, the red gets lighter, more pinkish, and then it becomes white and then green. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to create the darkest red on the top of the slice, and as it gets closer to the edge, the red will become more pink, and then lighter orange, and then green. So this is just a general idea. Of course, there's other watermelons out there, but that's what I have noticed. Now I'm just letting the paint move around a little bit and do its thing. So I'm not stressing too much about it. I'm just pushing the paint around and filling in the watermelon section of color. Now to complete the watermelon slice, we need to dry that slice fully so it doesn't have any wet paper. And then we're going to use wet on dry technique to add more color to the slice. I'm going to take my carmine red color and then add more paint on the top of the slice and then also in various places to create this juicy watermelon texture. So while the slice is drying, I'm going to work on the shadow area, so the watermelon is not floating in the air as it is now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the area where I'm going to add the shadow, and then I'm going to take my soft squirrel brush and take a little bit of indigo color on the edge of the brush and softly paint the shadows. Also, I'm going to mix red, cadmium yellow, and indigo together to create a brownish gray color. Then I'm going to add the color to my shadow area to warm up the shadow a little bit because it was feeling too blue to me. Since I also want the shadow area to be a little bit darker, I'm going to use indigo where I feel the shadow is the most concentrated in the composition. Now let's paint the seeds. I'm going to take some indigo and mix in a little bit of red into it, so it's not pure indigo and it has some warmth in it. And I'm also going to use a smaller brush. I want my seeds to be in the middle of the slice. I'm going with my guide here and adding as many seeds as I want, but if you're feeling like you're adding too many, you can always take some paper towel and wipe it away, or make the seeds lighter by dabbing the paper towel on top of the paint. As you can also see, what I'm doing is I'm creating little droplet shapes that will mimic the seeds, and I'm also on some of the seeds I'm using just darker red mixed with a little bit of indigo to make it seem like the seed is inside the fleshy part of the watermelon. Now that I'm looking at the painting, I feel like the green watermelon next to the slice seems too light, so I'm going to separate them a little bit by adding, by darkening the watermelon. So I'm going to take my sap green and darken the parts where the round watermelon meets the slice, as well as at the bottom of the watermelon. I'm also fixing any unevenness on the edge of the watermelon, as well as making the edge seem a little bit softer. The last part of the painting is to add the watermelon tail. For that, I'm going to use my sap green mixed with a little bit of red to create a brownish color, and then you just paint it in. That's it. Don't forget to add your signature. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video so I will know if I should create more videos like this one, and subscribe for more art and craft content. And all the supplies for this painting I'm going to list in the description section of the video, so make sure to check it out. And Also, I'm going to add the playlist of my other watercolor tutorials in the description box as well. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later. Bye!